Death has been portrayed many different ways as time has gone on. Sometimes it is seen in a positive way by freeing someone from their pain and suffering due to an illness or of old age. But most times, death is seen the exact opposite. It is a terrible thing caused by illnesses, natural disasters, others' reckless behavior, or unfortunately taking your own life. Death is oftentimes a scary thing that catches people off guard when they're not ready to go, and it affects the people around them after they're gone. Death, which any reader of this book would know, is the main theme of the book 13 Reasons Why. The death that takes place in this novel is an example of when a person takes their own life. This novel tells the story of Hannah Baker's life in her last days before she commits suicide. Hannah leaves behind 7 cassette tapes to be passed between 13 people to listen to. In the tapes, Hannah tells the listeners the 13 main reasons that led her to killing herself. 13 Reasons Why follows the journey of Clay Evans as he receives the cassettes from the person before him and then proceeds to listen to each one. The 13 audio recordings tell the story of 13 different people and what effect they had on Hannah killing herself. Unlike every other person included in the tapes, Clay, who's featured in the 9th tape, finds out that he didn't have a negative effect on Hannah at all. Hannah was just fascinated at the fact that she had never heard anything bad about him, and she wanted to know if he truly was a good person like everyone said he was. When Hannah went to a party one night, she was surprised to see Clay there. Hannah then took the opportunity to get to know him. Hannah and Clay talked for a while, kissed, and then that was the end of their interactions before Hannah killed herself. Clay tries to understand everything he has just heard after listening to the final words of Hannah Baker. When he has finished the last cassette tape, Clay starts to feel sad and wishes he would have reached out to Hannah when it could have saved her life. He now has a new outlook on life and how important it really is. Hannah's death more or less helped him to realize what a difference he could have made in someone's life so that maybe they wouldn't end up like she did. Her death helps him to start reaching out to people he didn't really notice before. In the story of 13 Reasons Why, it is obvious that Hannah feels the need to belong and has the need for esteem. She also has obvious reasons to feel like she is the outcast of the story. The short story A Rose for Emily has several encounters with death from the beginning to the end. Miss Emily, the main character of the story, is the one who deals with them firsthand. One of the negatives of death is what it leaves behind. Oftentimes, family members find it hard to move on and accept the fact that the person who has passed away is never coming back. It is a hard thing to realize that a loved one won't be returning into your life. It was evident to the readers that this is what Miss Emily suffered from throughout the story of A Rose for Emily. Beginning with her father's death, Miss Emily has a hard time believing what is the truth. Her father is gone and is never coming back to her. It didn't matter that he wasn't good to her at all in his life and didn't leave her with anything but the house when he died. She was his father and she wasn't letting him go. People went to her house and tried to console her, but she kept denying that he had even died. For 3 days she went on denying this and even proceeded to keep his body after he had gone. After she stopped denying her father's death, she was ill for some time, but who could blame her? Her father was really all she had at the time, until Homer Barron came along. Homer Barron was the next man who came into Miss Emily's life. Homer was a northerner who was in town for business. Soon after his arrival, the townspeople saw Homer and Miss Emily together. They were often seen taking carriage rides through the town together. After reading the last few lines of A Rose for Emily, the readers discover what really happened to Homer Barron. We also start to realize what was really wrong with Miss Emily. She has a problem with letting go of people who are close to her. She didn't react well to her father's death, and he wasn't even a positive part of her life. Emily didn't want to have to go through losing someone again, so she took matters into her own hands. Death has a big toll on her life. After reading A Rose for Emily, it is evident that Miss Emily has a huge need for esteem. Her gray hair is of importance to the story because it symbolizes her old age and how she no longer is the young girl she used to be. To Build a Fire is a story of a man who is making his way through Alaska in the cold. All throughout the journey, the unnamed man is risking his life and the dogs trying to make it to campsite. His lack of imagination is a huge disadvantage to him. The first time he stops to build a fire, he pulls out a biscuit to eat and thinks about his trip so far. He remembers a man telling him that it isn't smart to take on this journey alone.
You used to call me your dreamer, and now I'm living.
The story of To Build a Fire was all about the man trying to escape death. He tries to fight it by thinking he can survive in the cold alone, which is his first mistake. The man tries everything until the very last few moments before his death to try and save himself. He doesn't want to accept the fact that it's going to happen soon enough. When he does face death, he does it knowing he has fought it as much as he could. All throughout the story of To Build a Fire, the unnamed man showed his need to survive and his need for esteem. The white snow surrounding the man is a symbol of the death that is to come.